morning, everyone.
Morning.
Welcome to the May 12th edition of the West Memphis Utility Commission meeting. At this time, we will start our agenda with approval of the minutes from last month's meeting.
I make a motion that we approve the minutes of the April 14th meeting.
Yes, sir. We have a motion by Mr. Holmes. Do we have a second? Sorry? I thought I heard it. We have a motion and a second. Any questions, discussion, corrections, additions?
Just Mr. Felton's name.
Beg pardon?
Mr. Felton's name.
Mr. Felton's name.
Typo.
Oh,
I see it down too.
okay. Not helpful. I was looking at the first one.
I didn't call him.
There it is.
I asked him to
Well, I'm waiting on another.
just yell out. We know who we're talking about.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. All in favor to approve the minutes for the April 14th meeting? Aye. All opposed? Minutes are approved. All right, next item on the agenda is April safety report.
All right. Brett, our safety training director, is actually out performing some training right now. We have a gentleman who's looking at doing his CDL testing tomorrow, so they're actually out doing the some training on that to try to get him to where that he can pass that. So I'm getting to give his report. Again, the numbers, as you can see, we have yet to have a recordable for the year 2022. So that just our incident rates for the year is still great. You can see our last recordable was 189 days ago, and our last lost time injury is 932 days ago. Again, with the work that I think our people do and what they do daily and the environment they're in, I think those are both excellent numbers and something to be very proud of. And hopefully we can keep moving forward with that throughout the year. All right. I'm not going to go through and read all this. I mean, again, this just happened yesterday, so but this is his report for the month of what we covered in the month of April. It was mainly focused on first aid and injuries and what to do during those injuries. Any questions that I might have to refer to you later? That's all I've got.
Thank you, sir. Sorry, I'm trying to play catch up. All right, next item on the agenda is personnel update. Looks like we have some good news.
Yep. We actually had 3 new hires in the month of April. We went and in the electric department, we were able to hire 2 new people. Tony Rudd and Wesley in that department. The only bad thing in the electrical, we did lose 1 employee just here recently. It was not put on here, but it's happened in time, so we still have 2 openings. But in the wastewater department, we were able to hire a gentleman, his name is Justin Callahan. Y'all might know his dad, or the company, Vince Callahan. Ace Rewinding, it's a local electrical company that does a lot of work in the area. His son, we were able to bring him on staff, and we still have the open position in engineering. Again, the main area of focus that we still need to look into is the water department. We still have 6 openings in there. Mike is Lamb, this guy. We've been receiving some applications. We just recently received some applications yesterday due to another company having some layoffs. So we're getting some more applications, and he's planning on reaching out to those people and doing some interviews hopefully next week or the following week. So hopefully we'll have some really good news on the water department, staffing levels, being able to get some folks in here next month.
So, Todd, why are we having such problems with maintaining employees in the department?
As far as maintaining, here lately, we have not been losing as many. I can tell you the one gentleman we lost in the electric department, he'd only been with us for 90 days.
Oh, I was going to watch the water department.
In the water, okay, we lost one gentleman here recently, and it was due to, it was a non-voluntary resignation. So he was terminated due to cause, some issues. And why are we not getting as many applications? I can't answer that. I don't know
Apparently
why.
there's a problem, and we try to figure out why, because you got 14 open positions, 14 positions, you got 6 opening, and then all that work is being compiled on those 8, so that's the problem, so we just try to identify what the problem is and correct it.
I totally agree. And because their starting pay is the same starting pay as the electric department. So they come in at $17 an hour. I can't understand why, people do not want to get in. Is the job a manual labor job? Yes, it is. I mean, you're out in the heat, but so is the electric department work. I can tell you, we have received, as of 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, we had about 10 applications, and one of the issues is Mike was gone for a week, so he was out off on training, so, why have we not gotten more applications? I can't answer that. I don't know the reason why.
Because I know last month we had 6 open, and this month we still got 6 open.
I agree.
In the meantime, there was other 8 people doing all that work.
Totally agree. Why can't I hire somebody for that department? I don't know.
Do you know what that compares to the local area? On par now?
$17 an hour? Based on what I can tell, starting out with no experience, no,
High school diploma.
high school diploma, willing to come to work every day and work hard.
Since we're discussing this part, since that's the department that we've had some concern about, we've had a number of positions that were not filled there, percentage-wise. Have we reached out with a survey for that particular group to kind of see, the dynamics of just what's going on? You said it's outside the same as the electric department, but you only have one position there, and the pay is about the same starting off?
It is the same.
About the,
No, it's exactly the same.
To kind of see, what's causing the ones that you're hiring not to stay, or what was not inviting, for, being employed at that position. Maybe a survey of some sort, if you work on it, to kind of get a feel of those that are in that department.
Okay, I'll talk to Ms. Janice. I know that if an employee leaves, they do an exit interview. So if it's a voluntary leave.
Kind of see what it is and you
Yes.
can make an adjustment,
Correct.
maybe, some
And-
kind of way there.
Previously, the folks that had left that department were left due to pay. And that was previous this year, though. That was last year, okay? And that was mainly they were required to get their CDLs. They would get a CDL and they were actually leaving and going to work at like a construction company or some other places that that needed a CDL, but more pay. And I think that's what we got ours to where to make it more comparable to, so where we can compete with the requirement of getting a CDL, they still have that capability. But, like I said, that's the one, you know, that I don't know why you can't fill. That one and the two open positions in the electric department are tree trimmers positions. So I have a foreman and I have a brand new guy there in that department. Anything else?
Okay, thanks, Todd. Everyone else for your input. Next item on the agenda is approval of quotes for 2 pickup trucks. First one, I guess.
All right. Well, as y'all know, last year, I'm gonna go back to last year where we started. We actually had we were supposed to be getting a new truck, replacing the Unit 10, which is Michael Lamb's water truck. And we went out and went to the state bid list, and they had a state bid that met our requirements. And we said, hey, can we go or we went out there and we said, we ordered it. That was, help me, Sean, May, or it was second quarter last year.
Right, yeah.
It was earlier in the year.
Earlier in the year, we ordered the truck, and we followed up, probably a couple months, you know, finding out what the status of the truck. They said it's still in process. After a couple months went by, we checked up again, when it come closer towards the end of the year, we still haven't received the truck. Called the guy up, and I was like, you know, hey, what's the status on our truck? He said that truck has been canceled. All trucks on the state bid list have been canceled. So all vehicles that was on the state bid list are now no longer available for us to get. So that truck that we had in the budget to get last year, we weren't able to get because it was canceled.
So then this year we rebudgeted, hoping that maybe that truck will start to get back out there. The state bid list is this year basically non-existent. There isn't any vehicles on there. We've called them. They said, look, they're not making those vehicles. The only way you're getting a vehicle that is off the state bid or you're not getting from the state bid. You basically have to go out and just start. What vehicles, you start calling dealerships and say, what vehicles do you have? Okay, so talking back and forth with Sean for several months, we were to the point where, okay, do we have to write a specs and send out a bid? So he actually started talking with Ford about writing a set of specs and just bidding it. And Ford's like, look, you can write a set of specs and we'll bid it and we'll give you a price, but we don't know when it's going to be here. We can't tell you a definite date, but we'll give you a price, and you know that could change and it could never get picked up. So they actually started looking for vehicles. Just they would show if a vehicle would show up at a dealer, because the dealers are like, we don't know what's going to show up, what's not going to show up. So for several months, Sean and Ron went and just started looking for vehicles. Well, we actually had a couple show up, okay, at this was actually not the first one, the other one was the first one, but we had two show up at a Chevy dealership that Ron and they found and said, hey, can you give us a quote? So we did quotes, and we went and had a quote from Ford for basically the equivalent vehicle on for these two, and then we got them to give us a price. And literally, they said yes, but because they showed them on their website, they said, well, they're on our website, but we don't have them yet. They're coming, we just don't know when they'll be here. And when they showed up, we were like, okay, great, you got them? Yeah. So we went ahead and based on the 2 quotes we had, talking with Tori, we went ahead and they said, well, you know, they wanted to give us money, provide money even before that it was, you know, I was like, no, we can't do that. We can bring the check up there based on the 2 quotes, these being the low quotes, and go ahead and buy the vehicles. So we've already bought the vehicles based on the quotes that we received, okay? What I'm needing approval of is the purchase of the vehicles based on the quotes we received. Okay, and that's for 2 1,500 crew cab 4x4s, and then a 1,500 crew cab XLT 4x4. Did I say that right, Sean?
F-150.
F-150.
And the one thing was, is we had 2 trucks, and they sold them out from under us.
Yeah, that happened to us too.
We had 2 trucks that we were supposed to get, and we called them, and they wanted us to get them the money right then, like you said. And then when we went the next day to call them back, we was like, hey, we want them trucks. They said, we've already sold them, I mean, in a day. So when we found these, that's why he decided to go and jump on them, because if he'd let them sit another day, they wouldn't have been gone.
And again, when you're saying, well, I need it to be white, it eliminates something else.
Yeah.
So what color are they?
White.
They're white.
Yeah, they're white.
Pretty nice trucks, you know.
They're,
Just
They're- these 2 are what they call work trucks.
Okay.
I mean, they're nicer than my truck, but my truck's a 2006. But, so I would say, yes, it's a nice truck.
Yeah.
But let me just say this, the prices on, these 2, I think we got a great deal on, and I'm very pleased. The other one hurt my feelings, but it's still at a much lower price. These, you can see, we got for $33,000. State bid was 31. And again, these are crew cab 4x4s, and they're 1,500s, and the equivalent is an F-150. So an F-150 is a 1,500 class truck. And the other one that we did is an XLT. And it's on, again, it was a white truck on a lot. Because we started even looking, I said, well, what about silver? Silver's close to white, you know? It's, I mean, we're in a time where trucks are falling apart, and my mechanics are saying, look, I'm patching, and I mean, the one we're getting rid of in the water department that we're getting rid of, the wiring harness is, you know, done burnt up once, and they're saying it needs to be, you know, so.
So you need approval for these 2?
That it's going to be these 2, and then on the next one, it's the approval to buy the XLT F-150. Based on the quotes that we went out and got quotes
Yeah,
to purchase the
but
vehicles.
it's hard to get vehicles now.
I don't know.
It really is. So you probably did the best thing to go ahead and do it.
Again,
Yeah.
and again, if you look at the price we got these for, we found out, and we found this out after the fact, after we did it, that actually the reason we were able to get these so cheap is because Chevy as a manufacturer actually provides what was the discount, Sean? Do you remember? It's like a
Municipality discount?
It's a municipality discount. So we were like, holy cow, that's great. That's something we need to remember in the future.
They knocked off quite a bit.
A very large number. I think these are also like high $40,000 trucks that we got for low 30s, based on a municipality discount.
Yeah, it knocked off 8,300 at Central Chevrolet.
Right, yep.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah, I was just getting that discount.
So we get two 1500s at 33,459 each,
That's right.
and one F-150 at
49.
45, 629.
No, 49, I think it
The
was.
last one is 49 something.
49.
So this was the,
Because,
After that,
well,
no, that's 2 pages, that's right.
yeah, there's two
Those
pages
two
here,
go
and
together,
two pages
and then
here.
them 2 pages go together.
right.
One is a Toyota.
No, it's just from a Toyota place. We were calling everywhere.
Okay. So this F-150 is not the same one.
That F-150 is it's not an XLT. It's it's a,
4x4 crew cab.
yeah, it's just that's it.
It's
I
base.
had to get an equivalent of,
V6 EcoBoost.
that's right.
So the two in the front are ones you already got.
Actually, I have all 3 of them already.
So what do you want your motion?
To approve purchasing of the vehicles based on the quotes.
So moved. I'll make a motion.
A second.
So we have a motion
Yeah.
and a second. Any further discussion, questions, or comments? All in favor of approving the purchase of the 3 vehicles that we just mentioned? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. 4 and 5.
Now, y'all have already done that one,
I
so.
just have a thought.
Go ahead. If y'all tell me how to do this.
Well, it's not so much on this, but, I mean, obviously, the system doesn't work anymore because the environment the system operates in has changed. So how do we adapt? I mean, how do you do that?
I don't know. I don't know.
I guess my question is, what lessons can we learn from this that we can apply to next time so that we don't have to worry about? Because by the time you find something, you can't call a meeting to approve the purchase of the vehicle.
Because they're selling the vehicles quicker than.
Yeah, there's some of them before they ever get on the lot. We
That's
did
it.
this last fall, we had to have a new vehicle, and it was horrid. You know, oh yeah, it's here, so we went, oh, it's not here, it's in Jonesboro. And, I mean, that's just the way it is. If you're not ready to go, you don't get it.
I mean,
My demand.
we're talking about, when we started having this discussion last year and on vehicles and replacement of vehicles, and putting together schedules of replacement of equipment. We have one bucket truck that they're like, hey, Todd, you need to start looking at replacing it. It's unit 28. Okay, it's having chronicle issues that keep popping up. Right now, what is the lead time on a bucket truck? Delivery date? 20,
3 years.
it's 3 years on a bucket truck.
And they-
Can I legally do that? Can I say, hey, I'm buying a vehicle this year, oh, by the way, I'm not gonna pay for it for 3 years from now until it's delivered? I don't know what,
Right.
I think that'd be a problem with the legislative audit, for sure. And Tory would have to.
But if you don't get on the list of it to buy one.
Yeah, but if you don't do it that way, you don't get it.
you don't ever get it. That's the whole issue is, I mean, it used to be, hey, you had to wait, 12 to 15 months, and they're literally out 3 years now. I mean, 2025 is,
And that's if everything falls in place.
yeah,
Who knows what-
I mean, and they're saying they're not getting the chassis.
Right.
It's not the unit sitting on the top. I mean, we just took a vehicle that was out there that's really old, and I said, let's fix it, do everything. We sent it off to Altech, and they went through it top to bottom and said, let's get this thing back in some shape and keep it rolling, just because again,
I got a question. Is repairing it top to bottom just as expensive as buying a new one?
and what I did is they went over there, they did an evaluation, and based on the cost, I think it was 20 grand to go through and fix. It had some door issues and some other stuff. I said that this truck lasts me 2 years. Based on it's done paid the reimbursement. Because a new pickup or a new bucket truck's gonna run me, about $150,000. So I would, something that cost me $20,000 to repair, technically, if I depreciate that over 10 years is what those normally depreciate over, that's $15,000 a year, technically, that is hitting my book. So by spending $20,000 this year, and if it lasts me 2 years, I've actually made.
Do you keep like a spreadsheet of your vehicle's lifespan so you can know what's coming up? Or do you just get reports from your crew?
We mainly, before it was, we don't keep spreadsheets, let me answer that question. We've just recently started to come and have some organization, it was maybe probably last year or was it last year or a year before? Time just goes by so quick. I actually had Sean and Ron, I said, hey, here's our vehicles. Can y'all go through and start telling me what you think your life expectancy of these vehicles are based on their current condition? Again, something might happen, but they started looking at them saying, yeah, this one looks great, don't see any fruit. This one, Todd, you need, like the one last year with Michael Lamb, he's like, Todd, the one we were talking about 29 that we wanted last year, he was like, this is one of them we need to be replacing. So it might have been 2020 when we started doing that, because it's been a while and it just goes by, but we've started to do that. Do we have it formally in a spreadsheet where it's, hey, here it is, what we think the life expectancy is? No, we don't. Literally what I have is a printout with Sean and Ron. They have numbers written down beside it saying, here's what I think.
Okay.
So
So at least you have some lead time of, okay, we got 6 months and that one's gonna die. So you got enough time to.
and in 6 months, we do it in years. We say, this one's still got 5 years, good. But based on what they see in the repairing of the vehicle.
I mean, you know how vehicles are, you can't, like I said, I've been told before, you can't put a crystal ball out there and say, this truck's gonna tear up 5 years, it's gonna tear up. I mean, it could be one of our good trucks out there could drop a motor today. It's just, that's the way,
Or somebody could run into it.
yeah, exactly. That's what we're running into now on parts, getting parts. That's what I was telling Todd earlier about a part. They tell us it can be 10 months to get a part for a truck. What do? You got a truck down that long because you can't get parts. I mean, same thing as getting parts as it is to get a vehicle. It's tough.
And not saying what we did was right or wrong, but Sean talking to the guy from Altech over there that went through that truck, he says, man, right after y'all brought yours in, we've seen an influx of folks who are like, send it over there. Just because of the lead times are getting so long, they're like, hey, send these vehicles over there, go through them top to bottom, let's make sure they're in top condition because of what everybody is starting to see. So I think the bigger specialty trucks, versus, hey, no problems, we'll just replace it. It's like, no, we need to be spending the money on the maintenance to make sure we have the vehicle.
And it's probably, I don't know, electrical, but in my industry, the industrial supply network used to stock things on the shelf. You need a motor, you call them and say, yeah, it's here, it'll be on the counter when you get here. Well, they stopped doing that. The local inventories have gone down with everything. So what about electrical transformers? If we have a transformer that blows up, how long is it going to take to get one? It's the same thing, right? I'm sorry, but
No, you don't. I got an announcement at the end I got to talk about. Y'all don't know.
okay. So how do we mitigate that?
Well, on our smaller transformers, you just gonna have to start ordering them in advance. We've actually started, the Arkansas cities have started working together and talking to one another, hey, do you have this? And when people get into major binds, we start helping one another swap out transformers that, hey, yeah, I got some extras. It's just, when I say smaller, our pole mount transformers that are up in the air, we're just having lead times. We've actually, one of the things we just recently did is we have never bought refurbished transformers since we've been here. okay? Ever. But we just recently bought 6 of 3 different sizes. We're going to get them in and see and go from there because they have them available. It's helping on cost, and if they're refurbished in the life expectancy of a transformer is a very simple device. I mean, it's all just winding,
Not
it's
any
metal,
moving
it's just metal. It's not a bunch, it's not moving parts inside of it. So the thought is that the life expectancy should not be an issue. So in some of, and I didn't reinvent the wheel, some of the other cities are doing the same thing. Some of these places, you know, they get them and refurbish them, and so that's what we're doing, is we bought a few refurbished, get them back in here to have them on inventory. We're going to see how those work out.
Thanks, I didn't mean to sidetrack, but
No,
we gotta.
You're fine.
Stop this stuff.
and you're right. I mean, just, it's the inventory levels where, hey, they'll be here, you know, 12 weeks is now 52 weeks. So that means I'm ordering transformers now for next year.
Yeah. And so what happens if you need it before then?
And again, we are working with other sister cities, and we are all, I think, in the same boat, and everybody's trying to, we share.
It's kind of a co-op. kind of-
Yeah, we do amongst our the municipal cities.
Do the same thing with
Yeah.
the smaller guys. Okay. Item number 6 on our agenda is approval of bids for 2022 sanitary sewer point repairs. I'm thinking that might be Mr. AJ.
Yes, sir. Good morning. Good morning, y'all. So, just a quick summary of what the 2022 sanitary sewer point repair consists of. You guys remember last year we done manhole rehabs, which is for structural reducing I&I, and it's also part of our CAP corrective action plan to the state. So this year, this is kind of sort of like the second phase, which is working on pipes, repairing them, bringing them back to the actual when they were first put in. So we had 2 contractors that bid, and they're both local. As you can see, they're only $30,000 difference, which is pretty good. We took it to city council last week, and it was referred back to the utilities, and we're asking for approval. Again, we're trying to reduce the cost of treating stormwater going into our sanitary sewer. So,
And lines.
so we're asking for approval for bid.
For the little bit,
Yes.
531,125. Okay. Do we have a motion? Anyone have any questions?
So moved.
We have a motion?
Second.
A second? Okay, we have a motion and a second. One more time, any questions, comments? All right, all in favor to approve the bid from Water and Wastewater Services for $531,125? Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Okay, Dave. Next item, fuel adjustment.
All right. Another great discussion. All right. Want to just show some history before we move into the next discussion. And I actually had this on the agenda before I calculated the fuel adjustment. I got our electric bill yesterday, and I have fuel adjustment, what it is projected to be for this next month. But I just want to show you all some history of where things are right now, or where they've been and where they are now. As y'all can see, y'all can get on Google just like I can. You can see this is historical gas prices at Henry Hub. Henry Hub is South Louisiana, is where that hub is at. And this is dollars per million BTU. Okay? And this is a monthly cost. Natural gas.
Not gasoline.
Not gasoline, natural gas. Okay? And you can see, I'm just going to use April since the last one on here is April. April of 2020, natural gas prices. average for the month of April was $1.74. 2021, $2.66. April of 2022, $6.60. 50% of the energy in the U.S. is made from natural gas. You're talking, what is that, 400%? Almost? It might be 400% increase since 2020. What has that done to our fuel cost coming into West Memphis? It's went up. Okay. Now, how does that affect us? This is the calculated fuel adjustment for next month. Okay? This portion up here is NextEra pays us for our coal plant energy. Okay? This is right here. This is day ahead. And when I say our coal plant energy, our coal units supply, or supposed to supply 32 megawatts every hour of every day. Okay? I bought that energy at $60.85, okay, from the coal plants. Well, if you think the cost of energy is that high, and the cost of the coal plant energy is typically runs in the mid-20s, them suckers are running right now and making a lot of money selling their energy in the market, right? Makes economic sense. Prices are high, coal plants or coal costs are still where they're at. Let's run them things and make money and offset our cost of what we would buy. In the month of April, because my April cost I do for my May billing, you can see how much money I made. I didn't make any. I actually paid them $1,700. Why? 3 of the plants produce 0 electricity. The other one only produced 30 hours equivalent at full load. Why? Because the UP railroads are not performing. They are not delivering coal satisfactory to our facility. Right now, we are in a coal conservation process, making sure we have coal on the ground so where in the summer heat, whenever all the loads do pick up, we can actually run them to satisfy the reliability of the system. Okay? So that right there is my major issue. The rest of this stuff down here, you can see my fixed price contract and the price I pay for it. But that's what our fuel adjustments should be coming in May. Remember, and what that means is, in our rates already, we include 3 cents of fuel cost. If it costs us more than 3 cents, okay, that's where the fuel adjustment kicks in and collects that extra money. Okay? If it costs us less than 3 cents, we give it back. Okay? Alrighty? So, this is what I think I would sell in the month of May. That's how many kilowatt hours for my whole city I would think I would sell. And I need to recoup $1.2 million of fuel cost above what's already built in our rates. Okay? That gives me major heartburn. I met with Ethel and Tori and Lola knows, been doing this for so many years that are in there, and this is the highest I've ever seen. I've been here 20 years, and y'all know from day one I've been working with John, dealing with electrical power supply, and I've never seen a fuel adjustment that high. And so, again, my thought is, and I discussed this with Tori and Ethel, and I said, here's something we can do. I can reduce that and artificially make it only a 3 cents, okay? What does that do? If I sell this amount of energy, I would be, collect this amount of dollars, but I would still be this amount of dollars in the hole on fuel cost recovery, $500,000, okay? I'm saying we can do that this month and start to look at it in the future. Why? Because the thought process is, come June, we're looking at June 1st, at starting to run the units so that we can, during the on-peak days and off-peak, it will help reduce our overall cost, okay, of electricity. Now, the bad thing about doing that and adding some of those dollars back is what happens in the summers. Everybody starts using more electricity. So their bills naturally go higher because they're using more. Not because the cost of it is more, but because they use more. You know?
And the cost is more.
And it is will be more. I gave a proposal. If anybody has anything else out there or wants to figure out another way to do it, I'm all ears. But right now, we're taking a beating. And, you know, they went and showed, we had a meeting last 2 weeks ago, I think it was, with the co-owners, and they said, hey, if we start these things up right now and ran these units economically, they would run nonstop right now, just because they're in the money. They are, okay? And but the issue with that is just doing it that way is based on how the railroads are performing delivering of coal, there would not be a stick of coal on the ground in August. So what happens when it's 110 degrees outside in August or 100 degrees outside, 110 heat index, and those units have to run and they're not able to run. If they're not able to run, that means, oh, the guys, to keep the system from cascading and going down, we start shedding load. And we don't want to do that when it's 100 degrees outside. So why are we doing what we're doing right now? Because for reliability purposes in the future. And everybody's like, well, the cost might go way down in the future. I can tell you right now, I'm looking at natural gas future prices because they're selling gas right now today for June. They're not going down. They're going the other way. Everything I'm seeing is June natural gas prices are going to be in the mid $7 range. Not too long ago, a few days ago, they were trading in the mid 8s. They've dropped back down into the low 7s and they're back up into the mid 7s right now. So, and you know, as long as that we're putting pressure on gas to keep producing the energy and the storage levels drop, okay, these prices are going to continue to go up, okay? What do y'all want to do? I gave an option. I can do that and just go back and you see, remember our residential rate is 6 cents. The fuel adjustment will be almost 5 cents. So that'll be an extra, you know, and then come back and I said, well, let's lower it down to here because again, the people's usage is lower. Okay, their usage is lower, so I can charge a little bit more and collect the money. Okay,
We just need to do what's best for our customers.
I agree.
And we don't need to spring something on them
I know.
all at once.
I know.
So we need.
I know. What I'm doing by doing this is I'm trying to artificially levelize their bill a little bit. And I hope at some point that if the railroads can start, because there's, again, when I say they're not performing, during our meeting, they talked about that there was actually a meeting of the Surface Transportation Board. And for those who don't know, the Surface Transportation Board at the federal level is who oversees. It's not only, my understanding is they got caught in an issue where when COVID hit and everything went down, their personnel, they lost a lot of people, and they have not been able to come back out of it to run the amount of trains everybody needs. They are not meeting, as I've been to meetings, people are saying it's not a supply issue, it's a demand issue, because everybody's buying so much, they're buying more even pre-COVID now than they were previously, and so they're not able to perform because they don't have the staffing, is what they're saying, is they don't have the staffing levels to perform the way they need to. And so, you know, again, because as an organization, you know, and again, remember, Entergy represents us with the railroads, and again, as y'all know, Entergy's not a small company, you know, and they're talking directly with them and asking them for more train sets, more train sets, more train sets. I just, you know, they're not, they got it up to 12 train sets, and they said, hey, we'll have to back off, and we went back down to 10 train sets. We need about 20 running, because these units should be running. The month of April, there was 1 hour, the highest hour was, electricity was selling for $110 per megawatt hour. We've always been buffered from that extreme cost that is hitting the market because of the coal units. Because, hey, crank them up, fuel cost is low, and run. The problem is right now they're just sitting there, they're not running, offsetting our cost. Where before they always ran and offset our cost.
So you said your total energy cost included in rates is at 0.03. If it ever hits lower than that, you give it back.
Correct.
If you didn't, would that cushion you for times like this?
Yes, it would. And me and Tori have had this conversation. I think we had this exact conversation last year when we had Winter Storm Uri. Most places do a 12-month average on the fuel adjustment. They don't do a month behind. So it doesn't, it would still affect me financially because my cash flow would be behind, but it wouldn't be as big of a jump because I'm trying to now collect all the money in 1 month on not a lot of megawatt hours or kilowatt hours. You see what I'm saying? Where if I spread that, the whole cost, see, if I would have had 12 months of fuel cost, 1.2, it would have raised it up some, but it wouldn't be going up as dramatically. Our fuel adjustment costs, and again, I think it's been like this where since it's 1 month behind, 1 month behind. Most cities don't do it that way. They do a 12-month rolling average. Here's my fuel cost that I've got to collect or give back, and so where it doesn't, instead of doing this, it does this. You know, it just kind of rides away because it's spread out over so much period.
How hard would it be to transition your system into a 12-month rolling average?
I'd have to rewrite the rates, and that would have to go through city council. It's never been a big issue because of our ownership in the coal plants. Again, the coal plants, it is probably for the utility, it's the best decision ever made by this utility in this city for this stability of rates for this city and this organization. Because coal does not fluctuate like natural gas or gasoline. It's very just, you know, you look at the cost, it barely goes up and down any. Most of the cost of coal is not the cost of the commodity, it's actually getting it delivered to where it's at. Because you got to run so many stinking coal trains back and forth from Wyoming to Arkansas. But we could sit down, I can get my two accountants, and we can start looking at what it would take. I mean, I did not expect this. I would have been concerned about this and making sure the rates are redone properly when those coal facilities close, okay? I would, to help levelize that. It's one of those things, those facilities have always been a buffer and been able to, hey, when spot markets run, they run.
So can you do a comparison in, let's say, your 12 months rolling?
Oh, what it would be compared to what it would have been this, I can run those numbers, but that I can do pretty quickly. Because I could go back and say, this is what it should have or would have been, and this is what it was on a 1 month behind. I could do that number.
And like what it would look on people's bills? Because ultimately, I want to see that.
Right. Right. I agree. I guess my question is, what do I do for this next month? Do I bill it like this? Or do y'all give me approval to do this and to charge a lower fuel adjustment?
So how are you gonna make up for that?
Once the summers start to run, they will be running the coal units. So our total cost per unit will go down. That's my hope. And I also hope that, because everybody's screaming that the UP will start to perform in the later part of the year. Because here, I'm gonna show y'all something. One of the things you'll notice, this was, by the way, this was Winter Storm Uri.
Yeah.
You see what natural gas prices did then. And they're higher now than they were then.
Yeah.
Okay? But, and that was on average, okay? But, for the most part, every winter, natural gas prices go even higher. I have not seen natural gas prices this high since 2008, okay? And before that. Do y'all remember what happened shortly after 2008? That's what, if y'all want, I can, I might hire security. For my office, for Miss Karen out there in the lobby.
So Todd, what are you proposing?
I'm proposing instead of charging this number, bringing it down to here, and
Leave it the same.
for this month, bring it to here, and see next month, reevaluate. We are broke even for the year to date, we're even on our collections for fuel adjustment. Okay, we're basically on that fuel cost above and below. Because I can tell you, last month I had a big number also, but we swallowed some of it. Okay, was able to do some stuff. This is, it's starting to get, and I'm concerned. I'm concerned of what Mays will do in June, is what I'm concerned about.
Well, and another thing, you mentioned security, and I understand that. And that's one of the reasons why I asked the question. The sheet says historical gas prices. When I first saw that,
I know.
gasoline.
Everybody
When
thinks
people see
gasoline.
on their fuel, on their bill, they say fuel adjustment. Why am I paying more money for them to sit there with that truck over there running while ain't nobody in it? People don't understand how the process works.
I know.
Is there a way to educate our customers
I've tried to do that a lot and explain it, but it's not a
We
very,
need gas.
it's not a very simple, and again, as you said gas, natural gas. When I talk about gas, it's gas, that don't cost me nothing. That's a small number in my bucket.
It takes the gas and gasoline and coal to make electricity. Not water. You have hydroelectric. So the fuel prices are going up. So electricity's going up too.
Yeah, I agree.
So we're taking a gamble that we're gonna be able to recoup. If we can't recoup, then what do we do?
Well, how do you levelize this so that you don't get a big jump, to try to recoup once you're in a hole? Did you not, am I missing something? Did we not look at something similar after the storm?
And that's what we did last year.
And you came up with a plan?
And that's what I did, is I actually, in February, when all the usage was going to be, I kept their fuel adjustment low and then collected the money in the months where, that's right. The issue is, my issue is that the months where there's not a lot of usage is typically the months that the price of electricity is low because it's not needed as much. It's not that way right now. I mean, you know, and my concern is the cost per unit per kilowatt hour is going to be low in the summer months. But because people's usage is going to go up, all they look at is the bottom bill, number on the bill. I mean, they don't care if if their bill is $100 and because you can ask the office personnel, if their bill's $100 and then their bill comes in at $200 and you go, well, you use twice as much electricity. But my bill's still double. Well, that's because you use twice as much electricity. When you use twice as much, it's going to cost twice as much. They don't look at those things. They look at what does that number say at the bottom, and as long as that number is close to what they normally pay, they pretty much don't care.
But it's not going to be because gas itself in my car is much higher.
I know that,
Yes,
and we know
so,
that,
I mean,
but
on the, when you had the situation before, did you put in the mailing an explanation, projection of what we were
I did.
going to do?
And I explained it and went through all that and explained fuel adjustment at that time in that mailing and hey, how it fluctuates based on fuel costs. And I'm going to do it when your usage is lower, so your bill is set. My issue is right now is their low usage months, and we're coming up on the months where the usage is going to be real high. That's my issue is, so my hope is, okay, I'm going to keep this a little bit high and not go extreme. That's why I was thinking this. So then in the summer months when the units are running, my unit cost will come back down, but their usage will be back up. So
you can't change what the situation is going to be.
I agree.
If you're going to message, the message should be just a true message. Because we have to face it, our food prices are higher, gas is higher. You can't lower the bill because everything else is higher. All of these things are going to go up. So to get ahead of this, should we not message our customers to let them know that in addition to all these other things, we don't have to say in addition, but they're going to have to face higher costs for their utility.
Okay.
And their decision is to open the windows, go outside, close the windows, go outside. They're going to need to make a decision as to how they're going to handle this. It's no way that you're going to change the temperature outside.
That's right.
And how long they have their units on. I mean, you may suggest where they need to set it to get the maximum for their money without perspiring too much. But I think we need to get a message out there that's true to our situation. Because we're gonna have to pay it. I'm gonna have to pay mine.
Yes, ma'am?
And that may be a selling point to, your 12-month rolling average. As a customer, it sounds a lot better if you average out my year than I see these jumps.
On the fuel adjustment.
Kind of levelize what
On
the
the,
cost is
on
gonna
the
be.
fuel adjustment, we can do that. Levelizing the bill, our system doesn't allow us to do that.
Oh,
When I say
okay.
our system, our CIS system
that's
does
not
not allow us
possible.
to do levelized billing
Okay.
today.
Now, you're looking at, just the fuel adjustment, right? Because the
Yeah,
usage is gonna be up to us.
correct. You're absolutely correct.
So you're saying that you can't levelize can't project and levelize the fuel adjustment? Is that what you're saying?
No,
No.
I cannot project it and levelize it. All I can do is react to it. If I had a crystal ball and knew what natural gas prices were going to be, I wouldn't be working.
So if that's your only option, then the public needs to know that.
Okay, I can do it after the fact and have it as a rolling 12-month, but that would have to be a change in the rate structure, okay? We would have to redo our rates to show
So is
that
that
we are no
possible?
longer
Is
doing
that
a month
possible for
behind, it
you?
would be a 12-month rolling.
Is that possible for you?
Yes, it is possible.
Okay. You can't do the impossible now.
That is possible, that is possible. It would have to be a rate change, it would have to go to city council, that we would have to go through and show instead of being a month behind collecting the money. Now, what does that do to us? It affects cash flow, because I'm now not collecting all the cash immediately, because it's only affecting it a very small piece.
Now, my question
But
would be,
we
how's
have-
that, you have, the time that you're gonna do the write-offs and all of that, people moving in and out. How do you think that's gonna impact that? But that would be one thing I would think you would wanna consider. If it gets too high, if people move here and there and leave.
And that's
stuff with the bill.
exactly what happens. Anytime you do levelized billing of anything, if somebody jumps in there and the bills and the cost of that stuff was high during that period while they were living, but you're levelizing it and then they leave, then the next person comes in, that person is technically paying for potential costs that occurred back when the previous person was there. That you are not, you're spreading your cost over a period of time. If you have people moving in and out, am I on the lucky end, was there when it was, the high cost came in and getting to jump out? It's a trade-off. As an organization, we have to decide what way to do. No, we want the person that's there paying their true cost of what it costs at that time. So if there's huge fluctuations during that period, okay?
But can you control that?
No, I can't control that.
Okay.
I can't control, if I could control getting coal delivered in them coal plants.
So what I'm getting at, what are your options that you're seeing since you've had an opportunity to look at it? What are some of your options that we need to consider?
Again, the only option right now that I'm saying is we either right now charge them or we lower it a little bit and see how the next few months play out and look at recouping that cost in the future. Now, if you're like, no, that's not right, because then somebody else is paying for a cost that occurred previously, then I'm good with that. That's a choice that I think as an organization has got to be made.
But I would lean toward whatever the actual is. Whatever the actual,
Whatever it is now,
yes.
charge it. Okay.
I'm not a deferred type in my mind for my personal things. Take care of it now because I don't want to take the big bite later. But you're looking at your cash flow and what you can do, and it's in dollar amounts that I don't deal in my bank. So I'd like to hear a suggestion from you, because I would charge what it is.
Okay. I'm fine with that. I just, again, guys, and Tori will tell you, I used to never come up there and talk about this at all. I don't realize, y'all realize how much this stresses my brain, because I take it that, because I know the citizens of West Memphis, people have to pay this bill, And I know that lady and them ladies over there feel the brunt. And I mean, when I say brunt, the verbal brunt of that. What, because it is, I mean, people will call you just. Not with some not so kind words. You know, I get some of it. I get some of them, okay? But I know they get a lot more than me.
So can we start communicating what the changes will be as you did?
And I will put something in there. I will get something written and try to explain what's going on and why this is happening. And I'm good with that. But I don't, not to be negative on that, some people don't care what the explanation is. I'm still having to pay it.
So, just out of curiosity, so let's say average kilowatt used by home is 800 range, times that 0.047805 number, is that correct?
Okay, you would take, no, that's just the fuel adjustment average.
So that adds about 42 bucks on your bill.
Yes,
Okay.
yes. If you use 1,000 kilowatt hours, yeah, if you use 1,000 kilowatt hours, it's gonna cost you $47 more than what it normally is. You still have 6 cents, so that 1,000 will also cost you, 60 bucks. So it's gonna add $47
Okay.
if you're 1,000. Oh, hey, folks with big homes,
Yeah.
and if you like it at 68 degrees,
But you're saying that that's gonna get into, you might as well charge them now, because we're gonna get into the peak season.
that's
They use less this month, you might as well go get it now.
that's my,
But them, this would also send a message to them, saying now, hey, it went up there, they gonna conserve, like she was saying, they gonna do a lot better trying to get it down.
I hope,
You know,
I hope,
and then we help them when the coal plants come back on, maybe we can.
I agree.
But if none of that happens, we're gonna be holding.
Everything we're being told is come June, we're looking at around June 1st, okay? Taking these units and then going to the next level.
Yeah, did you? I mean, I hate that y'all are gonna have to put up with the downside to this, but at the same time, the utility company has salaries to pay and there's.
I don't disagree.
So do we need to make a motion to go ahead
No,
and charge?
because you're not making a change, so you don't, there's no motion that needs to be done.
It's already there.
It's done.
It's already there.
It's there.
You